Greetings, I'm Mark with Unlimited Story, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. If that's interesting to you, consider subscribing or checking out our website, unlimited-story.com. In this video, I'm going to be covering how to market yourself on Kindle Vella because it's brand new, and why wouldn't you want to get in on this? So if that's why you're here, specifically if you're an author, sit tight because that's exactly what I'm going to cover right now. And welcome back. So you want to market yourself on Kindle Vella. That's a great choice. How do you go about doing that? Well, not much is out on Kindle Vella yet, so a lot of it is open to interpretation, but basic marketing still is very applicable, and I have a decade of experience and I'm ready to share that with you. If you have comments, questions, or concerns, go ahead and hit me up in the comments. I will do my best to get back to you. All right, and let's get started. If you think you're gonna get your following from 0 to 1 million, or if you think you're gonna go from $0 to 1 million within a week, that just isn't realistic. Whatever your metric for success, expect this to be a slow grind unless you create, one, something super viral, two, you are famous and have like a big following, or three, you're just rich right out of the gate and then you can just bankroll the internet and just buy all the ads. Also, know that marketing only gets people into the door, okay? We're gonna be doing all these steps in this video to basically get people to your product. So if your product isn't good, it's not gonna do you a whole lot. So this platform actually hates you. If you are not one of the 24 featured authors, the 3 trending stories, or the 5 favored stories, or whatever it's called, this platform really isn't helping you because you are not getting the level of exposure that you want, and thus people who come into the platform just see these ones and are like, oh, well, these are already great. Why wouldn't I pick them? These featured authors are probably picked, or at least I'm 99% sure picked for a few reasons. One specifically being, hey, they've probably proven themselves on the Amazon platform, therefore Amazon's like, yo, why don't you just be our featured author? 2, they make a boatload of content, so Amazon just gave them priority in general. 3, they gave money to Amazon. Not a surprise. A lot of these people already pay for ads so they can be seen. 4, RNG, which I doubt. And 5, something that I didn't mention, which I super highly doubt. I'm certain it's one of those things. Understand that Amazon is they're trying to generate money. So they're trying to put their best foot forward. So these people have already proven themselves to create funds, profit for Amazon, so why not give them priority? I get it. And at the same time, for people who are not those 1%, we're in a tough situation, so we have to basically do the best marketing we can to get people to our product. Understand that the writing world is just like any other market, where the people at the very tippy top, the top of the pyramid, are getting the lion's share of attention and therefore sales, because attention essentially equates to sales. People who are at the very bottom, they're not even being seen. So how can you even attempt to gain a sale if you are never seen? All right, now with all those bases covered, and now that you understand basically what you're up against, let's move into the steps that you can take to market yourself. So the first thing that you can do that will give you noticeably more traction is your cover image, which should be no surprise to anyone. It's the same as a book. If you don't got a cool cover, people aren't really interested. People are very visual. They are going to look at the image first, and if it draws them in, then they can move on to the next. They can move on to the next step. Okay. So what works as far as images? Well, I'm going to tell you, do a little bit of market research. Look at the genres that you are going to be in. What is already successful? So the next thing you want to do is really work on your tags and think about what is in there, okay? Again, you can look at other people's tags, but what I'll tell you is most important is to think about what you have written and match the tags as appropriately as you can. Do not go for what's popular, okay? Because what's popular already has tons of competition. Now, I'm not a firm believer that you should be working on niche stuff, because if it's a small audience, there's less searches, but also, again, there's less competition. So there's, corresponding numbers. What I will tell you is aim for accuracy, okay? What is your story truly about? Pick the 7 things, because that's all you're allowed to pick, and just really nail it down. If your focus of a story, and I'll just pop up my example right here from Air Supremacy. The focus of the story is ninjas versus pirates in the sky. Like, that is all that goes on in my mind when I said I was going to write this story. Okay, so of course the tags are ninjas, pirates, airship, there's like politics and stuff. Those are the things I really wanted to focus on in this story, and therefore those should be your tags. So I am a firm believer, as far as marketing, that you should be going for accuracy and clarity as opposed to just trying to mislead people and convince them that this is what they're interested in. Next up is your description. And this is basically going to be a paragraph that sums up the gist of your story without giving away anything, and ending with a hook. So basically, they're going to read it and be like, oh, well, that sounds really good. Maybe I should go check it out. And because the barrier of entry to get into these stories is super low, I'll cover barriers of entry in a little bit, they can basically just click and then they can get going in. And then, of course, there's the title, which, as long as it doesn't sound super boring, you're basically good to go. Like, as long as it kind of matches what you're writing about, it's great. So it's really interesting that you'd think the priority would be the title, but it totally isn't. If you're using this platform, you need to be looking at your initial graphic, what they're seeing. You have to have your tags that basically match your readers, or whatever your target audience is, their expectations, and match it with what's in your story. Have a killer description, and then your title is what you make it. You're the author, so you decide what kind of works best for you. So one way to get your name out there is to write multiple stories in multiple genres, so that way you're able to get to multiple people. So I did that right here. So I have 4 stories, and now seems like a good time to tell you I wrote this one specifically, Vella Writes Meta, and this is a story dedicated to helping authors. Okay, so it's made from the perspective of someone who is writing for a platform, specifically this one right here, Zama, and it's made in a way that it gives tips, including a lot of the tips that I'm going to be giving out in this video, and some examples. So if you're interested in checking out, whatever, go read it. But whatever the case, I have 4 books in a variety of genres, in variety of some of them are completed, some of them are meant to be longer stories, some of them are meant to be shorter stories, and some of them are just placeholders that basically say, hey, this story exists and I will be working on that. And I'll be talking about how that is messaged and the marketing that is done behind it later on in this video. So why does this actually work? Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Apple does not just make phones. They make a ton of stuff. Okay, they want to broaden their ecosystem. They have more opportunities to touch base with people. Okay, if you just sell one type of product or only known in one area, then you haven't been able to expand. So again, think of this like you're driving down the street. Okay, you're driving down the street and there's only one of your store, but there's tons of stores that people can take a look at. If you have multiple storefronts, you can be seen more times. Another way to think of it is that each book you write is a lottery ticket, okay? Therefore, the more stories you write, the more chances you have to win. So just be aware, these are kind of the reasons. It is very, and I mean very, very rare, that someone writes their first book and it just blows up. So quick story, my mom is an avid reader. She reads all kinds of books, and she told me, Mark, if I find an author I like, I will read all their stories. So find a way to reach as many people as you can, grow your branches, okay? Because someone may choose you today in an area that you would not expect, okay? Or they may not expect. They may have just clicked you because, hey, I'm looking for some random, romance. But since you wrote something in there, they may be interested and they may transition into what you typically write. So again, grow your branches. I mean, if you don't want to write it, don't write it, okay? Just don't. But what I'm saying is, by putting yourself out there more, people have more opportunities to kind of see you. Again, each story you write is like a lottery ticket. It has a chance of bringing somebody in. There is a bit of a counter to my own statement, because if you are working on multiple short stories, that can work against you, because if people see like, oh, hey, all this stuff is just, 3 chapters or whatever, do I really want to get invested in that? right? Do you want to be known as an author who only makes short content? If you are only working on one story, you can put all your time, effort, and energy into it and therefore make it super long. But that may also work against you too, because some people may not be interested in 200 episodes. Maybe they just want a 50 episode story and call it good. Okay, so think about these things as your long-term strategy. Okay, what do you want to work on? What do you want to be seen as? And again, these things are going to be determined over the course of the next couple months, because this is not just like a short game. We have to be thinking about this long-term. And also be aware that when you search the Vella, stories, it shows how many episodes has been released in the last 30 days. Therefore, are you going to be releasing stuff? Are you going to be releasing stuff every week? Is it going to be every 2 weeks? I mean, people will be able to tell how many have been released. So whether or not you decide that you're going to write multiple books is completely up to you. Either way, whatever you have written should be formatted in a way that is going to be helpful to convert readers and help them bypass barriers of entry. What do I mean by barriers of entry? A step they have to take. People are automatically resistant to taking any more steps than they have to. For example, if you go to the grocery store, you have to get dressed, get in a vehicle, drive there, go through the store, make the purchase, pack all the stuff back into your car, drive back, unload, so on. Why do you think more and more people are doing online purchasing? They just go sit in front of their computer, type in what they need to type in, order the stuff, some of it gets delivered, maybe they just pick it up. There are less barriers of entry. On the other hand, they may not get what they want. Hey, some guy may have picked the bananas with the bruises on it. Who knows? Whatever the case, you want to cut down on as many barriers of entry as you can to make sure that people will convert. So I've already covered how to maximize the likelihood of getting someone in through the door, right? So the marketing end of, hey, they saw me and they clicked. So now they're at the point where they actually are at your first episode. The first episode is incredibly important, and out of any of your episodes, it probably has to be the best one, which stinks because it has to be a ton of exposition and it has to achieve a lot. So if you're going to front load a chapter and make it probably the longest of all of them, it's probably going to be the first one, okay? Because you're hoping that they make it from the front to the back. So of course, make it very interesting. And that first episode should end on a hook because you are trying to transition them from the first to the second. That is the first barrier of entry. If they can surpass that barrier of entry, one, that's great, okay? You have already defeated one of the more tricky barriers that you're going to be running into. Now, still, they are still at the free stage, okay? Because remember, first 3 are free, okay? So let's say you get them to episode 2, and then they're in episode 3. Episode 3 to 4 is going to be the pinnacle of, necessity, okay? Because that's the moment they pull out a wallet, okay? That's where they determine, okay, I have spent time reading this. Now is it worth my money to go onto this next area? Fortunately, you have something working in your benefit. It's called the sunk cost effect. So essentially, when somebody is investing their time and, resources. Time is a resource, money is a resource, whatever. They keep going. Eventually, they're going to say, well, I've already gotten this far. How much further am I going to go? So once they surpass that 3 to 4 barrier, you're kind of in the clear. Like, it's just gotten a lot easier, okay? They have made it past the hardest barrier, and now things should start getting easier. It doesn't mean slack off. Continue to keep producing on the content on the level that you already are. Just be aware it should be getting easier. What I would say is episodes 1 through 3 should lead up to something big. Okay, so again, the first episode needs to be a big hook. You got a lot to explain. There's a lot that has to happen in episode 1, so don't be surprised if that episode is a lot longer than the others. But 1 through 3 should lead up to something big. So when they get to the end of 3, they're like, well, I gotta, I've read all this and now I'm finally going to get something that I want. And it's just right here at episode 4. So do that, bust down that barrier, and then, keep going. Just keep making promises and keep fulfilling them. That is what writing is about. You offer, you give them something, you say, hey, you give them a breadcrumb, and then that's it. They lead to it, they move on it and they keep going, right? Offer them promises, right? Promise them something and then give it to them. It's really, that is what you're going to be doing for episodes and seasons to come. Now, one thing that this platform has that I did not really think too much of right out of the beginning, but now that I've actually utilized the platform, I am super happy about, and that is your author notes. Okay, author notes are your opportunity as an author to talk to your reader. You can say whatever you want. Well, it's not really true. So here are the guidelines, word for word. This is a tool to build engagement on your story. So avoid including any links or prompting readers to leave the reading experience. Okay, this is your opportunity to talk to your reader. What do you want them to know? Okay, what do you want them to know? All right, so in Vella Writes Meta, I wrote in, writing this story is a struggle in many ways until I decided to break the fourth wall. Then things started falling into place. This isn't the type of story that I'm used to writing, but it forces me to be creative in new ways. The purpose of this series was to give a glimpse of what happens in an author's mind as well as their lives while providing useful writing and marketing tips. That is me giving information about the story. The exact purpose of this, note from the author thing. Okay. This series and Heir Supremacy are my ongoing projects on Kindle Vella. The Last Tough Neck is complete and Charisma or Death is on hold. That is me giving information to my readers. Now, I have no idea if that is exactly the intent that the author notes are. In fact, maybe they aren't. So if I get booted off, I'll just let you guys know, and hopefully that'll never happen to you. But what I'm saying is, this is my opportunity. If I was to ever talk to my readers, I would, 1, tell them what the story is about, 2, let them know what else you have. Because they may only think this is the only thing you've written, because plenty of other people only write one story. But I want to let them know if they're enjoying this, if they're liking this, there is other things for them to enjoy. And, if I had to really go meta on these guidelines, I have not told them to leave the reading experience. The stories that I'm referencing are on Kindle Vella. So go check them out, right? This is my opportunity. If I ever talk to a reader face to face, I would tell them these kinds of things, okay? It's that simple. Also, set up their expectation, okay? Let them know if this is an ongoing project. I have in my author notes for Last Tough Neck, that story is just 3 sections or 3 episodes. I don't want them to think that more is coming. If they read it, they will know by the end, this is a complete story, okay? And then they can move on. They can check out my other stories. The last thing I would really want them to do is read my 3 sections and never think about me or my stories ever again. That would be awful. I want them to enjoy them and then enjoy other stories that I have. If they enjoyed one of my stories, the likelihood of them enjoying another one of my stories is very high. Now, in marketing, typically you have a strategy for your release. You know when something's gonna happen. We really didn't know about Kindle Vella when it was coming out. Thanks so much, Amazon. But whatever the case, some people did. So in that situation, you set up certain things like, hey, I'm going to market myself, whether you're going to do ads or email blast or contact your fan base, which I will be covering a little bit in this video. You want to be able to know when you're going to be, really pushing yourself, or when something new comes out, you want to make sure that, hey, everyone can know about it so they can pick it up right away. And then you have that, big hit of sales, and then typically you can hit the top. Okay. But again, not everyone is on the tippy top. So let's focus on what you can actually do. Be aware that when you're uploading episodes, okay, that shows up on the search results that, hey, you've released so and so many episodes within the last 30 days, which can be good and bad. I've already discussed that a bit. So just be aware that based on what you're doing, how many stories you're going to be doing. If you're just doing one and you want to crank out episodes, that is great. Just be aware there are pros and cons to that, because some people may want to read that and some people don't. Okay. And that's actually kind of one of the nice things about this platform, because people get to see what they're going to be getting into. On the other hand, if they see 3 episodes and know that that's the end, well, either, again, they have to speculate, is this story done? Or did the person just give up? Because honestly, as a reader, I don't want to read something if the author just flaked out and vanished. So just be aware, these are the kind of things we're going to be running into. And I'm sure Amazon's going to have something, or maybe it's already exists, and I just don't know, where you can basically say right in there, this story is done. Who knows? We're still This platform's still new, so we'll be seeing what becomes available. What is ultra important about a strategy for release is that you can get hot. Okay, so remember how I mentioned, like, okay, you email everyone so you can get that top spot. That is really what you want. You want to find a time, okay, on Kindle Vella where you can say, I want to be hot right at this moment. You're going to focus all your efforts. You're going to try to get everyone to, every one of your readers to upvote you or whatever that thumbs up thing is. That way you can hit the front page. Hitting the front page is the most important thing you can do on Kindle Vella. It is the front page of the platform, okay? It's just like anything else. Once you hit the front, all of a sudden your popularity can shoot right up. What you're looking to do is hit like a critical mass so that you can bring all your marketing efforts into one moment where you can just push and get above, which is not easy. Again, if you're starting from zero or you're just relatively unknown, this will take time for you to even build up enough of a fan base to even attempt to go for this. So just be aware, this is a grind. All right, so next up is contact your fan base, and you may not have one, and that really sucks, and I'm very sorry. Okay, that stinks. Know that it is a real struggle to climb the ranks. There are years of time, effort, energy, resources that you have to put in to really get anywhere. And even me, I have over a decade of marketing experience, and I have 4 books under my belt, and I have my Vella projects and whatever. It is a struggle. Okay, I am not where I need to be, but I also know that if you are working on it, if you are truly driven, if you really want this, you're going to keep working, and then success will eventually come. Yes, some people will get lucky, totally will get lucky. But if you keep working on it, you will eventually get there. It's just the way the system works, though. You have to prove yourself before you're just going to be given something. And if you don't want to work for it, great, then just quit. It doesn't even matter, okay? It gives more opportunity to other people. But if you are driven, if you really, really want it, then keep working on it. I will tell you, if you're just in it for money, don't do writing. Writing is a poor way. It is not time efficient to generate money. Go do something else, okay? Writing is a completely different, no. If you're doing it for money, don't. So getting back on track, your fan base, it's going to grow little by little, right? Friends, family, whatever the case. You're going to want to create relationships. You're going to want to talk about your books and so on and so forth. Fans are created one at a time, okay? Do an e-blast, okay? You got some people, 10, 20, 100, whatever the case. You want to build your database of emails and then just e-blast them and make it easy for them. I highly recommend something like a MailChimp or Constant Contact, so that way you have a very clean email that will go to them. And please put in links. Do not be lazy. I swear, do not be lazy. If you tell people, just email and be like, yo, I made some stuff on Kindle Vella, it's called this. That is too hard. Going back to what we said before about barriers of entry, you need to provide them links, because why would someone do something for you that you aren't even willing to do for them? Okay, they are doing you a favor by checking out your books, maybe reading them, putting in a review, upvoting, whatever they want to call it, but you're not going to help them out. So do your due diligence, okay? Send out the e-blast, give them the links, okay? Provide them all the necessary information they want, and say thank you. Like, seriously, just be kind to these people. And of course, there's social media. I don't really like to bring this one up because I'm not a firm believer in social media. I know people will be like, oh, but Mark, you're in marketing. How can you not love social media? Because so many of the social media platforms are pay to win. I'll just be perfectly honest. Facebook, if you want your content to be seen, you have to pay for it, okay? That is not what social media was built to be years ago. But again, they became businesses, and I could talk about this all day, and I'm not really interested in doing that. Essentially, if you have social media presence, you have people that you talk to, just throw it up there. But unless you want to spend some money on ads, I do not recommend using social media beyond just telling your people around you or the people that you like. So just put it out there, let the people know who you want to know, and then that's it. Move on. Next step is update yourself. So of course, we'll go back to social media and say, hey, maybe you just want to update your profile picture so people see you, and maybe on that picture you could include like you holding a book, or in Vella's case, just hold like a tablet or something like that. Update yourself so that people are aware of kind of what's going on in your life. Now, I personally have websites. Websites are one of the most important things that you can update. So aside from updating your social media, I highly recommend updating your website. Now I have multiple websites. This one specifically is my professional one where I go into the, how I'm an author and some of the other stuff that I do, like my videography services. Over here is my actual website, unlimited-story.com, where I post, what's going on. I'll work on, I have my other videos that I post here, kind of what's going on in the area, but also, hey, Kindle Vella came out, so I posted this. I go over here, like I have a store page. And again, you want to make things as easy as possible for people. So on my store page, okay, here are the core stories that I work on. Here's the Vella series that I have, and links to everything. So that way people are up to date. You have fans, just make sure that they have information, because how many times have you told somebody like, oh, I did this, and I posted about it or whatever, like, oh, I didn't read that, I didn't know. People have things happening in their lives. Be aware, their life does not revolve around you. Make it convenient for them. Just provide them the information, and if they're interested, then they can make that choice for themselves. All right, and then I'm just gonna tell you, be patient. Like, I've met authors over the years at my local author fest here, and I have yet to reach one that said that they're just making bank off of their books. It's just not something that happens all the time. Okay, so success does not appear overnight, doesn't appear out of thin air. It takes a lot of time and effort and energy, and that is marketing for Kindle Vella. I highly recommend you take a look at my story on Kindle Vella, which is Vella Writes Meta. It is a story dedicated to helping other authors with tips, marketing tips, a lot of the stuff that was covered in this video. Please take a look at it. It would super help me out. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please throw them in the comments. I will do my best to address them or make other videos to do that. If you like this stuff, please subscribe, because I would like to know, and I would love to help you guys out. That's it for me. Peace.